Man, oh man, the last 2 weeks have been crazy for MMA fans. Hamza Chimaev pulling out due to terminal illness. Conor McGregor pulling out due to injury. Israel Adesanya earns a title shot despite coming off a loss to Sean Strickland. Alex Pereira versus Yuri Prohaska 2 is now the new main event of UFC 303. And another Dagestani is rushed into a title elimination bout after beating 2 tomato cans. Here is a list of ranked fighters below Robert Whittaker. You couldn't get anybody here from this list to fight Robert Whittaker. It had to be Ikram Aliskerov. It had to be the warmer version of Hamza Chimaev, who got sparked by Hamza Chimaev in the first round because Dagestani privilege. Before I rant further about Ikram Aliskerov, I need to address this first. Although I was really annoyed with Hamza Chimaev pulling out, the dude is in serious medical constraint and needs empathy from the fan base as a whole. Get well soon. Now, as always, I am not a financial advisor and you should gamble responsibly. With that being said, for this bullshit main event of Robert Whittaker versus Ikram Aliskerov, as much as I don't understand why Ikram Aliskerov is getting the privilege to fight number 3 ranked Robert Whittaker in a title elimination bout when he has yet to face any ranked opponent, I have to admit that Ikram is a lot better than I initially thought after watching hours of footage. Aliskerov has an arsenal of finishing knockout shots and his ground game is really solid. Aliskerov can shoot takedowns and defend them just as well. He has some nasty ground and pound and he can transition for submissions quite nicely. My only problem is that Dagestani fans will have you think he's the next best thing since Khabib Nurmagomedov or sliced bread. I actually spent a good bit of time watching Aliskerov fight, even back to his one fight in that Russian promotion early in his career. The conclusion I came up with Aliskerov is that although he's good, he cannot move his feet or head well at all. Whittaker may not have the one-punch knockout ability of someone like Hamza Chimaev, but he is arguably even faster than Hamza Chimaev, and Chimaev was beating Ikram Aliskerov with his lateral footwork, feint, and speed before that knockout shot. Not only that, Whittaker is so good at using lateral footwork around the cage, and as Aliskerov tries to stalk him down, I just don't see Aliskerov keeping up with Whittaker's movement. Some of you may be quick to note about Aliskerov's wrestling. Fair enough, Robert Whittaker has not been tested against a fighter with grappling offense as dangerous as Ikram's in a while. But this is the unknown factor. Can Ikram Aliskerov find submissions and dominant position against someone with the wrestling pedigrees of Robert Whittaker? Robert Whittaker has never been submitted throughout his UFC career, and he was in training camp to take on an even more dangerous grappler in Hamza Chimaev. As for the stand-up, the only way Aliskerov wins is by finding a knockout shot. Aliskerov has power to do so, but I don't see someone who is as technical and fast as Whittaker leaving himself open to that knockout shot. The other caveat is that Robert Whittaker needs to be perfect for 5 rounds, considering Whittaker's lack of finishing potential. But he has proven he can dance circles around anyone throughout 25 minutes, like when he got robbed of a decision against Israel Adesanya. At the same time, Aliskerov has never been in a 5-round fight, and he rarely gets out of the first round. I think in a similar case to Hamza Chimaev, Robert Whittaker's odds to win the fight skyrocket as the fight gets into deeper waters. I'm picking Whittaker to school Aliskerov. But moving on, we have Sergey Pavlovich versus Alexander Volkov. I'm surprised that this fight even went through. Both parties spoke out about the UFC for matching them up with each other, but here we are a week from today. Sergey Pavlovich has lost a lot of his aura since losing to Tom Aspinall, the rightful heavyweight champion of the UFC. But I'm picking Sergey Pavlovich to knock out Alexander Volkov nonetheless. Sergey Pavlovich is incredibly slow, but so is Alexander Volkov. Tom Aspinall was able to find nice 1-2s in angles due to his agility and cat-like reflexes in his fight against Sergey Pavlovich, and Alexander Volkov is flat-footed. That means you'll rarely see the man use lateral footwork or create angles like Tom Aspinall did. If you've ever watched the Volkov fight, Volkov usually backs up against the fence to find a perfect counter, but against Sergey Pavlovich, who can put your lights out with a jab alone, up against the fence is the last place you want to be. You can say Alexander Volkov is a lot more technical, and he can knock anyone out with the right shot. The problem is, it's through cumulative damage. And while Sergey is coming off a brutal knockout loss to Tom Aspinall, he was known for his durability prior to that fight compared to other heavyweights. The longer the fight goes, I do like Volkov's chances, but he has to be perfect for nearly 15 minutes against someone who can knock his lights out with one punch alone. This is not going to be like Whitaker versus Aliskerov, because Volkov does not create angles or lateral footwork to keep himself out of danger. I am picking Sergey Pavlovich to knock out Alexander Volkov. Moving on. Initially, I couldn't believe the odds makers have Kelvin Gastelum, Big Tubby, as the favorite. KG is moving down from middleweight to welterweight. If you guys don't know about my golden rule yet, welterweights make middleweights look like dog shit when they fight each other. But Daniel Rodriguez is the exception, because Daniel Rodriguez fights like an NPC. He engages with the right jab or hook and quickly darts out before even dealing damage. No feints, no lateral movement, no knockout ability, no sting in his kicks, and no grappling. I don't understand what Daniel Rodriguez does for hardcore fans to rate him so highly. The man lost to Neil Magny by submission. I thought that was almost impossible because anybody who tried to grapple with Neil Magny has been able to submit it in the past and not the other way around. Yes, you can say Kelvin Gastelum is washed, but he is at least trying to finish the fight and get in the pocket and throw more than one jab per 30 seconds. Not only that, KG can actually wrestle unlike Daniel Rodriguez. So, if KG is getting tuned up on the feet somehow, he can always try to level change and start ground and pounding D-Rod following the takedown. This fight is going to be stinky, but I believe KG has more reliable weapons than D-Rod. D-Rod just stands there out of range doing nothing. Someone in the comments please tell me what D-Rod even does well, because I seriously can't tell after watching D-Rod fight for nearly 2 hours. Not only that, D-Rod is coming off a brutal KO loss against Ian Gary, and he is now getting older. I don't believe D-Rod is going to have the output against someone like KG, and I'm taking Kelvin Gastelum to a decision. Moving on, Johnny Walker versus Volkan Oezdemir. I root for Johnny Walker, but I just don't trust him. I could look like a dumbass as Johnny Walker head kicks Volkan Oezdemir's conscious into the Saudi deserts, but I don't trust Walker enough to find the perfect shot before Oezdemir can. Johnny Walker, how are you 6'6" with an 82-inch reach, yet you cannot throw a jab to save yourself from getting knocked out? Your arms are longer than my legs, yet you only use them as hammerfests when geriatric Paul Craig greeds for a single leg, or when Ryan Spann for some stupid reason shoots a double leg after nearly knocking you out. Volkan Oezdemir has got some heavy hands, really good boxing, and actual fight IQ unlike Ryan Spann and Paul Craig. If Oezdemir can get inside the pocket even once, I will expect Johnny Walker to flop around like those inflatable tubes at the car dealership before falling onto the canvas. Johnny Walker can knock out Volkan Oezdemir with a well-timed head kick, a flying knee, hammer fist, or some random capoeira move I don't even know about. But everyone who beat Johnny Walker has knocked him out with a jab or cross. Oezdemir is much more fundamentally sound than Johnny Walker, and as the fight progresses, I trust Oezdemir to find the perfect shot to win the fight. The only thing I'm not sure about is if Johnny Walker will shoot takedowns or not. Walker is a lot stronger than Oezdemir, and he has slightly better jiu-jitsu. I can definitely see Oezdemir getting thrown around like a ragdoll before Walker beats him up or submits him. The only problem to that theory is Walker always starts his fight on the feet and only grapples as a last resort, or when his opponents shoot takedowns against him. I'm picking Volkan Oezdemir by KO. Shara Magomedov versus some random Brazilian tomato can with no profile picture. It doesn't matter who this Brazilian tomato can is because this card was made to highlight Muslim fighters like Shara Magomedov. The dude fights like a dog with rabies, and I am not saying that only because he has one functioning eye, assaults civilians for no reason, and speaks like a Neanderthal. The dude throws kicks as fast as the average UFC fighter's jab, which is insane. The dude pulls guard and he's beating Bruno Silva's ass in close guard like a wild animal. Then, as Bruno Silva disengages, Shara throws a question mark kick off his back like this is some Dragon Ball Z type shit right here. Fair enough, he got wet blanketed by Bruno Silva, and a good grappler can definitely do a lot more to Shara Magomedov, but I highly doubt the Sand people will match Shara Magomedov against a grappler. Shara Magomedov will beat the brakes off this Brazilian tomato can. Nasrat Haqparast is going to destroy Jared Gordon. What does Jared Gordon do other than beat up jiu-jitsu cans like Paddy Pimblett and still somehow lose the fight? He gets knocked out by anybody with good boxing/kickboxing. It just so happens that Nasrat Haqparast is a good kickboxer. The only two people he has lost to were Dan Hooker and Bobby Green, two primary kickboxers in the top 15. Jared Gordon has some good jiu-jitsu, but he is never the one shooting takedowns, so Nasrat Haqparast isn't going to have to worry too much. The longer this fight stays on the feet, the more opportunities Haqparast has in landing that overhand left on Jared Gordon's chin. For some reason, when Jared Gordon engages in the pocket, he leaves his chin wide open in the air, like he just took a bong rip and now imagines himself in outer space. Jared Gordon may be tough, but you will notice an insurmountable skill difference between Nasrat Haqparast and Jared Gordon. Nasrat Haqparast is going to fold Jared Gordon up like a lawn chair. Last but not least, this is the hidden gem of the card you need to pay attention to. Rinat Fakhretdinov versus Nicolas Dalby. Now, a lot of people who actually follow the sport religiously will put their money on Nicolas Dalby. Their reasoning being, Rinat Fakhretdinov massively slows down as the fight progresses, and Nicolas Dalby has a third long and granite chin. The problem I see with picking Nicolas Dalby is that he is too wild to face someone like Rinat Fakhretdinov. Rinat Fakhretdinov did gas out in his fight with Elijah Zaleski dos Santos, but Dos Santos was able to fold him with body kicks and pump jabs to keep distance from Fakhretdinov. Unlike Dos Santos, Dalby charges into the pocket. Sure, it may work against Gabriel Bonfim, but Gabriel Bonfim needs space for his best work, which are jabs and a variety of kicks. If you get in the pocket with Rinat Fakhretdinov, there's always a chance you will get clipped with a devastating right hand. Nicolas Dalby is known to weather out storms and push forward constantly, but I don't see how Nicolas Dalby is able to get in the pocket until the third round against someone as dangerous as Rinat Fakhretdinov. Fakhretdinov carries serious pop in his boxing combinations, and although his technique wanes very early, he still has solid knockout ability. Too many times I have seen Nicolas Dalby get clipped early, and although he's able to survive the onslaught of Gabriel Bonfim, I believe Fakhretdinov carries a different level of power and wrestling control compared to anybody Dalby has faced before. If this fight reaches the third round, Nicolas Dalby can start taking over. But the first two rounds are going to be one-sided against Nicolas Dalby. I'm taking Rinat Fakhretdinov to win this fight, but I wouldn't mind if Nicolas Dalby wins, and the winner of this should be getting a ranked opponent soon. That's a lot of great fights in the land of the Sand People, even though Khamzat Chimaev fell through. Now that I accepted that Ikram Aliskerov is going to be fighting on the main event, I don't have too many complaints about this card as a whole. I don't know exactly how or when I will be uploading my predictions for UFC 303 because I'm going to be working overtime for next week. But after that, I want to get down to making more fun content rather than posting prediction videos. Anyways, like and subscribe, make sure to follow my Instagram down below, and I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.